have a short dream, but I wrote it down.
Okay.
So this dream happened a couple of weeks ago. The background context is I went to sleep that night asking God about a business that I'm trying to set up. So I'm trying to set up as a photographer here, and I had questions around like pricing and how I find clients and things like that. So I just asked him, went to sleep, and this is the dream I had. I have some thoughts about it, but I don't know if it's actually an answer to my question, or if it's something, if he's using that scenario to talk about something completely different. But yeah, this is the dream. So I was carrying my youngest daughter on my right hip. In the dream, she was 2, and in real life, she's 9. I knew I was carrying her because she wasn't finished nursing. She wasn't completely weaned. So I was carrying her. We were in a dark corridor in a huge conference center, and there were doors on either side. But I could see that my room was directly ahead of us, and there was like light. It was double doors, and there was like light coming out of it. As I carried her towards that room, I was trying to work out how much to charge for my hairdressing skills. I decided on 985 and had 30 clients in that room who had signed up for that price. But I knew there were even more clients who were wanting to pay me 2,000. I was walking quickly and figuring out how much time I had to cut each person's hair. I was aware it was almost the end of the school day, and I would have to go and collect my other children from school. Ree, who is a friend of mine in real life, she came out of that open room toward me. She told me not to worry because Kath, one of our mutual friends, was getting everybody ready for me. She was excited and told me that I was doing a good job. She said, "This is so exciting, but all of us want to know how you've done this and been so successful, especially whilst you're still nursing a toddler." And then she stroked Lois's face. Lois was my daughter. And she joked and she said, "What we really want to know is what's in the milk that you're giving this baby." And I smiled and continued walking, but I was doing maths in my head, and I worked out that by charging 985 instead of 1,000, as I had wanted to originally, I had missed out on 30 times 15, and I saw that as like a maths equation, and then the dream ended.
So you missed out on 450, huh?
Yeah, which those figures are not figures that I would have in my head at all. I didn't have specific figures in my head going to sleep. It was just, they were just random numbers in the dream to me.
Or were you looking at charging for a photography package?
Sorry?
Your business is photography?
Mm-hmm.
So what were you looking at charging for a photography package?
So it would be around 450, like top end, because it's newborn photography, so not weddings. And that's kind of the going rate for this area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting.
What?
Photo sizes.
I'm thinking.
Oh yeah.
I think you might start out at it. Well, that's interesting. I think 2 years into your business, you'll charge that higher price, because you said as a newborn business, you charge $450. But the daughter you're carrying on your hip, this baby that you have given birth to, this idea that you've given birth to, when it becomes 2, still young, you'll be able to charge a higher price for it. And maybe it's not 85.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. The two women that were in the dream were they actually trained. Yeah, Rhea and Kath. So they are my friends now, but I got to know them in like 2007, and they trained me as an early years, like an early years practitioner. So they were experts in their field, and they were bringing in, the UK government was bringing in a new early years curriculum to schools at that time. And I was one of the first people to be trained in that. And then as a team, we rolled that out in our city.
Wow.
So I thought it was interesting that they were in that dream.
Somehow they're going to be part of your business, I think, or they already are in a way. But it's interesting that some, you know, even though you were charging $985, some people wanted to pay $2,000, they'd be willing to, but you didn't take it. You know,
Yeah.
you're not getting ahead of yourself in your own business. But your friends are helping to gather people together for you. So it's like you've got a marketing team that you probably didn't even know you had, who are gathering people together for you for this business to take off.
Yeah.
Interesting. Cool. John, what'd you get?
Well, there's obviously the idea of mentorship and replication, the idea of having people work for you, having a baby on your hip, having your mentors there, I think is interesting. And so it's the idea of mentorship and replication. I also think it's a new business model. The idea of being in a hair salon is the idea of changing mindsets, right? And so, and particularly the idea of cutting hair. It's literally taking a piece of someone's self and cutting it off, which is kind of indicative of what happens in a small sense in childbirth. There's a piece of you that then becomes its own autonomous piece of you, you know? Yeah. And so what I thought of was the idea of changing the identity of how people see themselves through your photography. So you're not in the business of photography, you're in the business of identity work, but you're using your art to show them their identity. And then when you mentioned taking pictures of babies, I thought, well, what if you took pictures of babies with like their mother? Or like, you know, how they'll carry the baby real low and they'll show the picture of when she's pregnant, and then they'll show the picture of them holding the baby after the baby's been born. But it's the idea of particularly replication, which is, you know, having children that have children, you know, birthing, mentorship, passing it on, but also the idea of literally changing someone's mindset. And by doing that, excuse me, they're actually going to pay you for the mindset change. And so you'll be able to charge double or quadruple what you would normally charge, because they're going to feel so honored and so royal in their experience that they have with you, that word's going to get around and people are going to be like, this is the best photographer we've ever seen. Because what you're doing is you're coming in and you're giving them a change of their identity, you know?
Wow. That's so
it would be
cool.
like walking in and saying, you know, oh my gosh, Emma, you look stunning with those glasses on, you know, where maybe if you wanted to take the glasses off, no, keep those glasses on. And that look right there, that's extremely thoughtful. It shows brainiac side of how God uses you in discernment. And, you know, you just begin to see them who they are, and you take wherever they're posing and you begin to point out the identity and the character of God and how God's given that to them. And then they're going to treasure those photographs. Like if we just would have taken a picture when you were, you know, when you were like this, and I was saying all those things, you would remember from that picture what I had just spoken into your life about your identity, you know. And so that's what you're going to be doing, is you're going to be speaking identity to these people, which is going to change how it's going to be. They're going to be transformed literally by the renewing of their mind. But exactly what you're doing, they're going to smile really big because you're going to resonate with the DNA that God's placed in them. And so you're going to show it. You're going to show them the DNA that God's placed in them. It's going to resonate with them. It's going to produce a joyous smile. And then you're going to capture that moment. And they're going to be like, this was amazing. This was absolutely incredible.
That's
I'm going to take this from the other side. The other thing that you might have been thinking of, John mentioned mentorship like 4 times in the course of this Decode. I think you're a prime candidate for the spiritual intelligence mentorship course. You know, you're heading down a dark corridor and you see a light up ahead. You know, corridors are a temporary place where you're moving from one in your life to another part. But these double doors have got a big bright light at the end of it. That's something you want to move towards. You know, that it's going to illuminate the thoughts that you have about dreams and their interpretation. And some people are willing to pay a lot of money for it. Some people are even willing to pay more because it's worth more, like the $2,000 that they were willing to pay. But I think you're might even be thinking about that. I'm not sure.
Which the dream school?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on it. I think I'm due to start.
Yeah, she's ready to go.
Right? You are ready.
Yeah, I'm
more ways than
excited.
one.
But that was so cool because actually that is my, like, for this, going back to the photography business, that is my heart behind it. It's almost like the photography it's amazing, it's great, and it's fun, but it's like, oh, it's not really about that. It's about supporting mums as they transition into motherhood, and capturing who they are and what they want for their children, and teaching them to see their children as they are babies, and kind of go from there. So like using the prophetic side of it a little bit.
I love that.
And making a community where mums can support each other, because here, since COVID, mums are really isolated, new mums.
Yeah. Yeah, I just see people loving the experience so much of working with you as a photographer that it's just like, price doesn't even matter. They're not looking for a bargain. They're looking for an experience they've never had with any other photographer. Mm-hmm. I also think of so many photographers, especially at least the idea of some professional photographers is that they actually like put people down, you know, oh, you're a model. What makes you think, you know, and they just tear them down, you know, and instead, and then there's the artificial, you know, oh, make love to the camera, oh, blah, 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 you know, and it's just like, it's just all flesh. But to actually come in the spirit with the discernment that you have, and to see who God's created them to be, and to call it out in them, and where they're feeling insecure, like, oh, let me, you know, don't shoot my left side because I have a scar. And you know, that gives you so much character, and it makes you this way. And now suddenly they want that side of them to be photographed, because instead of feeling shame because of what they view as an imperfection, you said this makes you unique. And oh my gosh, I've never seen a face so distinguished as the left side of your face. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Please, will you let me shoot that side of your face? And now they're just like, wow. And their minds are changed, and they walk out of that experience transformed by the renewing of their minds. But what's super cool is they have the pictures of the transformation that occurred in that moment. Like, you're shooting the pictures as their transformation goes from, I'm embarrassed about this side of my face, to now I want you to shoot this side of my face, and they're smiling because you see them for who they really are.
Wow. That's so cool. Oh, yay. I'm excited.
Look at this. We got people that already want to hire you.
But that whole thing for photography, for me, that is what happens when I take photos of people. It's like a holy moment between me and God. It's like I get this really privileged moment of seeing them in like a split second that's never going to happen again. And it's like, and he remembers all of, do you know what I mean? He remembers all of those snapshots. He delights in he's captivated by all of us. And it's like getting to be part of that for a few seconds with somebody is incredible.
Yeah. Wow.